Well, Bill and his team at Cross Country Mortgage work with seniors quite a bit through the home buying process. And the question that comes up quite a bit is, how do you calculate that home affordability? Is it different when you're working with seniors versus when you're working with a younger buyer? Today, we're going to explain how Bill and his team at Cross Country approach that and what you need to know. Well, glad to have you inside the Smart Mortgage Show here on YouTube or wherever you're listening on podcasts. I'm Ben George. He is Bill Litton at Cross Country Mortgage there in Chadsford, Pennsylvania. Bill, we don't spend as much time talking about seniors and retirees, but the truth is so many of that class, that demographic are looking to either buy a new home, buy a second home, downsize into a smaller home. There's a lot of different ways they approach it. And I'm curious about whether or not it's actually different for them. So this is a kind of interesting topic. I know this is a group that you work with quite a bit, right?
Yeah, we do a lot of work with seniors and retirees. And I think it's because we actually talk about how we can help them, maybe more than other lenders do. And I think we've spent a lot of time figuring out how to help them. And it is a very different process for the senior or the retiree, because, if you really stop and think about it, they are typically beyond their greatest earning years. So then from a pre-approval, a debt to income ratio standpoint, there can be challenges.
Yeah, so I want to dive into that a little bit with you. And again, if you have a question, go to smartmortgageshow.com. You can find out more about Bill and his team there, plus catch past episodes of the show. So kind of where do you start again? Because again, we're trying to figure out what home affordability, how do you calculate that? How do you figure out? So what are you looking at first when you sit down with a retiree or a senior and start looking at their numbers when you're looking for the mortgage?
Yeah. So what I would say is if they're already retired, then usually what one of the major issues is that the income to qualify for the new loan is not there. So we need to be creative and figure out a way to still find income and make it, what we prefer is to make them qualify for a loan that still offers the best terms, because there are loans out there that are more lenient. Sometimes the rates are higher or the fees are higher. So how do we still get them prevailing rates? Because they have great credit. They've never missed a payment. They've never missed a day of work. We want to be able to provide them really strong terms. So what we look at a lot of times is, how do we leverage their liquid assets, their retirement accounts? How do we leverage that as income without invading those accounts and causing big tax liabilities?
Yeah, I guess that's the big thing you got to balance, right? I mean, is it something you can you lean heavily on assets in terms of determining how qualified they are, or do they have to be showing that there is income coming out of those retirement accounts, the IRAs, the 401ks, whatever they might have, to see that pattern of those withdrawals coming out first?
Yeah, so great question, right? So in essence, assets can solve a lot of problems if you look at the right programs. Okay, there's multiple ways to leverage assets as income, but certainly there are some really what I would consider to be a little bit less known ways to do it, in which we can take very little money out of an investment account, cause a very small taxable event. Maybe it's part of just your required minimum distribution for the year. Maybe it's from an account where you can put the funds back, which we see a lot. But Ben, what I hear a lot of times people coming to me and saying is, I'm trying to buy a $600,000 house, and this lender is telling me I need to withdraw $400,000 from my IRA so that I'm borrowing a little bit so that my Social Security can cover that payment. And that's not their intention, because they have a really good financial advisor and that money's growing. So why pull $400,000 out when maybe we can pull very little out and use those funds and leverage them as income rather than just putting more money down?
So in essence, it seems like, much like we've talked about in the past about how you work with most buyers and just kind of seeing their full financial picture, it's no different for retirees, right? And someone that fits in this category is you still want to make sure this matches what their goals are and it doesn't set them back financially, especially for this age group because they work so hard to get to where they are.
Yeah, I think the key is really like hearing what they say and trying to meet their goals. Now, I have had some people that say, I want to withdraw everything out of the account, and my financial advisor agrees, and I just don't. I want the lowest payment possible because then we're going to hear that. Most times that's not the case, though. Most times they don't want to invade those accounts to that level. So yes, we go through the standard process of discovery like we do with any other customer to end up at the best case scenario. And, there's another side to this too, Ben, that says maybe they've not yet retired and they're going to buy what they consider to be their final home. Well, now we got to think about what is the payment going to be after they've, the monthly income now is way down here. We're dependent mostly on some, minimum distributions from retirement accounts, Social Security, and pension. Did we buy the right house that can support that monthly payment after you've retired?
Yeah, a lot of things to think about. And I guess kind of adding on to that, if someone's in the position where they know they're retiring soon, Bill, and they know they also want to find a home, does it make more sense to try to purchase that home before they transitioned out of work? I know we talked about these big events, how they can affect your mortgage. Is that one of them where if you're still working, it's going to be easier to maybe find the mortgage versus a year later or 6 months later when you're retired and don't have that paycheck coming in?
If we're lucky enough that they come to us before retirement, if we get involved at that point in the process, then absolutely we would lend some guidance that says, hey, maybe we want to buy before you retire. Because what if they don't have the retirement? Not everybody has a big nest egg in a 401k or an IRA. So that leveraging of assets doesn't always work. And we believe the sooner that you come to us for mortgage planning, the higher the likelihood is that you're going to have the outcome that you want.
Any big challenges for this group to be aware of, Bill, in this kind of home buying process if you fall in this category?
Yeah, it's really a lot to do with when your larger income goes away. Even if you're not certain that you want to buy in the next couple of years, but you're pretty sure you do, you're not certain, call us. Let us talk through it. Let us work up some numbers for you. And that way you'll have a certain path where you know that if I retire, I'm not going to be able to afford the home that I want, my retirement home, or I've got the assets to leverage it. But it's always better to know what the future is going to hold rather than you get there and now you're retired and your options are very limited.
Yeah, it's just like retirement, right? To get ahead of it, the earlier you start planning for it, the more options you have, the more flexibility, the more you can correct things if you need to as well. So same for this as well. Well, very interesting, Bill. I know it's a category that, I don't think a lot of people think about when home buying because you think about, the young couple buying their first house. Those are the ones that have the most work, need the most help. But again, everybody kind of falls in this category where having a good mortgage lender can really benefit you no matter if you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever age, having somebody on your side that can help you find the best product, the best option, and not ruin you financially. I know a lot is so important. So I'm glad we went through this. It's really interesting to kind of hear the challenges and the different process that you take this 55 and up group through. So appreciate it, Bill.
Absolutely. Happy to help. Reach out anytime. We're always happy to talk through it with you.
Yeah, again, you can do that by going to smartmortgageshow.com. You'll find all of our episodes there. And we appreciate all your support here by watching the channel. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please make that a point to do so. We'd appreciate it. Thank you for watching this video, Bill. Thanks for your time as always. And we'll chat soon. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
This program is for informational purposes only. Please consult a qualified professional before taking any action. Bill Litton is a loan advisor and regional president with Cross Country Mortgage, NMLS number 147060.